Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Oh my god, it feels like it's been so long that I've uploaded a video. It feels like I've picked up the camera for the very first time and I've started again, but here we go. It has been a while that I have uploaded new content for you guys. So let's get right into today's video. If you'd like to see more videos, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button or that bell button to receive updates whenever I upload a brand new video. So things you need first and foremost is some gum paste, which I've already pre-dyed using a Sugar Flare fuchsia colour. Now this is my favourite go-to paste so far, which is by Squire's Kitchen, and I absolutely love that gum paste. So as you can see, I've already coloured it and made it super pliable for me to work with. And I've just taken the original paste, added some tricks into it and working with it and making it pliable, and then added my colouring. So those two can now go to the side. Over here I've got a 3cm foam bowl. I've got some sugar glue and a brush. Now I've got 5 circle petal cutters here, because the tea rose speciality is that it's made with circle cutters rather than the usual petal cutters. So we've got 5 sizes here, the smallest one being 4cm, the next one being 4.5 approximately, the next one being 5.3 centimeters approximately, the next one being 6 centimeters approximately, and the last one being 7.3 approximately. I've got my trusty little pair of scissors. Now I've got some pliers, one to cut my wire with and one to tighten. I've got my foam pad, some corn flour, a skewer, I've got my rolling pin, I've got me sort of a pen tool which I also use as a rolling pin. One's flat edged and this one is the round one, the round edged one that I use, so I tend to use all 3. My tea rose veiners, which are also by Squire's Kitchen, and my pasta machine, my storage board, and last but not least, my apple tray. Now let's begin. Now the first thing we do is just move everything to the side, and using our skewer, poking the bowl right in the center, take it all the way across. Take the 20 gauge wire, which I forgot to mention, you also need a 20 gauge wire, and poke it all the way through until you get to about half of the wire. Bring it down and just start twisting. And then, as you can see, it's a little bit loose. You can just go ahead and then tighten that. There we go. So now that's tight. And it's always good to have something that you can put your flour in. So I'm going to get some flour paste. Because it's a first petal, I'm just going to use a smaller amount. So make it pliable, roll it out, then into your pasta machine on the thickest, then all the way down to the thinnest. So, and then I'm just going to take the second smallest and just cut out one and pop it in my storage board. So that's my first petal. And then I'm going to take and cut out 3 of my smallest ones that I'm going to use for the bud. And if you do have some paste to spare, you can cut out 4 of the next size ones, or however many you are able to cut out. And that'll be your second row. So I'm going to pop all of them into my storage board, put the icing back. To avoid it drying out, remember you want to keep your icing covered at all costs, as that will prevent it from drying. So using the second size, the second smallest that we used to cut out the petal, the first initial petal, I'm just going to start rolling it out, just top to bottom, keep rolling, and then I'm going to rotate it and turn it. So I want it more long than I want it wide. So I'm going to go back and place it in the original position. Now, if you want and it's getting slightly too tacky, then just add a tad bit of corn flour. And then pop your paste back onto it. And that way that'll just help it roll with a bit more ease. Again, this doesn't have to be perfect. So once you've got that, then you can flip it over. Use the tackiest side to stick, because that will stick better. And just open up your sugar glue. Keep your pot, if it's full, away from your hands or anywhere near where you're working, because I've knocked it so many times, it's unbelievable. And then just cover the petal with glue. And I only do the bottom section more or less, and I leave a little bit from the top, and I don't glue that bit. And then pick up your bud and just attach it on like a little cape. So just like so, overlap, and stick. And then just press down and stick the rest. And you can make it a little bit more pointy if you want, and a little bit more tight at the top. So that's our first petal done. So once you've got this first petal on, then what we're going to do is we're going to take our smallest petals that we cut out earlier. And again, I'm just going to lightly dust with some corn flour. Just ever so lightly. Pop the petal on there, give it a bit of a swirl in that corn flour. And then just thin out even more. And for this one, I'm going to thin out all of them, all the way around the petal, taking it from the center to the edge. So keep going. Don't worry if it goes out of shape, which it does tend to do quite a lot. just thin it out as best as you can. So look at that, that's how thin you want it. Then I'm just going to pop it on my foam pad over here and then move on to the next petal and do exactly the same. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave these to air dry here just on my foam pad whilst we work through cutting out the remaining petals. So we're just going to grab our icing and this time take quite a bit off. Put the rest back into the bag. And I'm just going to work with it a little bit just to make it soft again. So once you've got it pliable, roll it out just as normal and then into your pasta machine. And then I will come back and show you how many petals we're going to be cutting out in what size. So we already cut out 2 of the next size up, but we need 4, so we're going to cut out 2 more. So this is of the second smallest. And then the next ones you're going to be cutting out is 5 of the next size up, which is the 5.3 centimeter. Then you'll need 6 of the next size up, which is the 6 centimeter one. I'm just gonna get some more icing and just cut out the remaining amount for the 6 centimeter, and for the last one you'll need 7 petals. So I've now managed to cut out all the petals. Now let's get into getting our first row on. So as you can see, now that they've had a little bit of time to dry, they're a little bit better and we can handle them a bit more firmly. So I'm just going to flip them all over and get my sugar glue and just coat the bottom half, mainly the bottom left and right side of the petals. You don't want to add too much glue as it can also tear the petal, but just enough so it sticks. So once again, get the first petal and you want to put it on the join of the first petal. So just fold it up around it and try and stretch the bottom bit rather than stretching the top bit, as I'll elongate the petal and make it a little bit more tighter. So bringing it down from this side will bring the petal down, and bringing it down from this side will also do the same, and then just lift it up if you want it a little bit more open and just position how you want to position. And then with the bottom part, I just tend to use some scissors, make a little cut and press one side down first. Now I like to overlap on my right side, so depending on which way you like to overlap your petals, just press that side down and make sure that side is fully stuck. Then overlapping by half, again pressing down the sides and tightening around the edges at the bottom, making sure that's stuck. And now when you make a cut in this one, you can then just place and cut both of them and stick both of them down because it's a middle petal. And then with your last one, pull it back. Don't worry, this just tend to tear a little bit, so just don't worry about that. It gets covered anyway, so no one's going to see it. And just insert that last one underneath. just like so, by overlapping by a half, and then just stick. And again, just cut and stick both sides down. And with this one, I don't really worry about having it fully underneath. I just pull that back and stick that, and then stick all the way down. And then if you want to bring it more tight, add some glue to that little area there and drag it down and stick. And then depending on how open you want it at the top, move it around a tiny bit until you are happy with it. And I'm quite happy with this and the way it's looking. So let's move on to row 2. Now row 2 is exactly the same as this one here, as we've done with the first one. So we're just going to be rolling it out from all sides. So exactly the same as we've done with our first row. And then I'm just going to pick it up gently and then also place it on my foam pad as I did earlier. So now that we've done all 4 and we're waiting for them to dry, what we're going to do is we're going to get a head start and we're going to work on the next row, for which we will need our apple tray. So I'm just going to put these to one side whilst they dry off nicely. And the next row, we're going to start using our round edged rolling pin, where we're just going to make the petal a little bit bigger, just as we normally do, working our way from the center all the way to the outside edge. And then once I've done that, I'm just going to take one side and I'm going to roll it even thinner from the edge. And then that's going to go in our apple tray. So just all the way in. This row needs to be cupped, so it needs to go in the apple tray to get that nice little cupped shape. So just smooth it all out as best as you can. If it overlaps at the bottom, then by all means you can overlap it. Don't worry about it overlapping, and just really press it in. And again, we're going to do that to all 5 of these petals. So just go ahead and make a start on those. So now that the first lot is dried, we're just going to flip them over as we normally do and just coat the bottom left and right with sugar glue. So once you've got all of that glued, pick up your first one, again placing it on a join and slightly higher than normal, just ever so slightly higher, dragging it down, making it tighter along the top. And then make your cut, pull one side down and let that stick. Again, overlap by a half, the next petal exactly the same height, dragging it from the side so it sticks, making your cut, and then sticking both sides down from there. Sometimes you do have to make more than one cut. Just like so. By the time you get to your third petal, you can just pull the first one away. And again, don't worry about this bit, no one's going to see it. Go in with your third one, doing exactly the same. and try and get them all at the same height as well. Cut, 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 and then just stick them down one by one. And then your final petal can get tucked in underneath. Again, overlap by a half and at the same height, tightening it across. Cut, 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 and then stick. And then pull your first one back, bring it down, and stick that there too. And just overlap that little cut, and there we have it. So once you made sure the bottom is completely secure, any bits that come off, just pull them off. But just really make sure that it's glued and it's secured really nicely. And then if you want to open it up a little bit more from the top using your skewer, then by all means you can do that. But this is what it should look like after this row's been added. So I've just popped this in the oven and made it a little bit more dry. As you can see, it is more firm. So it's firm enough so I can add my next layer, which is the 5 that we did earlier in our apple tray. So here we go, just pull them out. Sometimes I do tend to get a little bit stuck to the tray. There we go. So just put them all there and then just coat the left and right side with sugar glue just as normal. Once all is glued, then just pick them up and add them again on a join and a tiny bit higher. Just like that. So you can see the tiny bit gap on top. And then just make your cut and stick that one side down. And then overlap that by a bit more than a half, because these petals are quite big in size. So again, just tighten there, make your cuts, and then just overlap one and then the other one and stick that down too. So then your next one. So these ones are going to be a little bit more closer together. Again, cut and then overlap. And then I'm just going to hold the rose with my hand and just supporting the petals and just pull the first 2 layers back from one end. And then just gonna pop that one in first. And then I'm gonna very quickly just cut that and overlap it and stick it down. And then I'm gonna add my final one and insert that into the last gap there. And then again, cut and just stick. Then bring the first one back and stick just as normal where it was. You can also turn it upside down like I've just done, just to make sure they are all stuck down nice and firmly. If you want them to be a bit more open on top, just get the edge of the petal and just push it back, just like so. Open and push back. And that will just open them up at the top. There we go. This is how it looks at the end of this row. And now we can go ahead and add our next row. So now we're just going to be using our rolling pin. So again, just start making it thinner and a little bit bigger from the center all the way to the outer edge. And we're now also going to start veining them. Right, so make it bigger, flatten it out a little bit. Get your petal veiner. Pop it in there. Nice firm press. So you get your nice little design on both sides. And then just get the tip and roll it back just like so. If you thin it out too much, you won't be able to roll it back with ease and it will be a little bit tricky. A little bit of shortening or tracks can help with this part. So just like that. So go ahead and do that for all 6 of them and then just keep them to one side. So once you've done all 6, we're just going to pop them into our apple tray and I'll show you how we're going to put them in. So we're going to use this part here on the apple tray and we're going to just set the fold on top of that so it just sits up nicely, just like that. And then pressing the inside down. And again, just on the fold. And just like so. So this doesn't have to be perfect as long as it's just sat there on the fold. And you can use either side or the center bit. And just change it around. As I'm going to put these into the oven, I'm also going to put the flour in there as well on my lowest temperature for around 5 minutes so it speeds up the drying process. So I'll see you in a couple of minutes. These have just come right out of the oven and you can tell they're still flexible, yet they are quite firm as well. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and glue the left and bottom side again. Up to about half. And then we can go ahead and attach. So again, on a join at the same height and just making sure it's nice and firm. I've not let the previous row dry completely because I want to be able to still maneuver it once I've added this row on. So again, make a little cut and just stick one half down. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to loosen up the first one, the other half. Overlap by around half. Making sure it's really nice and secure at the bottom and completely stuck. And then the next one. Trying to keep them all the same height. That one doesn't need cutting. again. Some would need cutting and some won't. So then I'm just going to pull that one back and fit the other two in. So again, just overlap. And then just pop that into. And then once you've added that one, just pull your first one back and just stick. And then just turn it upside down and make sure that the bottom is really nice and stuck down. Sometimes you do have to mess around with them a little bit more. So I'm just going to peel that one back again. A bit more just so I can push this one down. And then bring it back. It does sometimes tend to get a little bit messy, but again, don't worry about them because when they go into the cake, then no one's going to notice. And you can finish it off with a calyx as well at the end. So now that that's gone on really nicely, just opening them up just as normal. And what you can do is you can even open one side even more if you need to, but mine are opening already really nicely. So just going to loosen them up a bit more. And that's our second to last row done. So that's how it looks once that's added on. So I'm going to quickly run and pop this in the oven, but I'm going to keep it in for around 10 minutes now. So once it comes out after 10 minutes on the lowest temperature, as it cools down, it will then fully set. And I want this to now fully set before I go ahead and I proceed with adding my last row. But whilst this is in the oven, I'm going to go ahead and prepare our last row exactly the same in how I've prepared this row. So 7 petals of the next size up, exactly the same way as we've done with this one, and then I'm going to pop them into the apple tray and put them in the oven as well. They're going to be somewhat dried, whereas this rose is going to be fully dried. So once that's done, I will come back and show you how to attach our final row. So again, I'll see you back in a couple of minutes. It's time to add the last layer. For this one, I'm going to be adding it at the same height as the previous row, or just a tad bit below it. And I'm going to keep these petals closer together, and I'm going to add them on a slant, a little bit on a slant, pointing towards the left side. So keep going at the same height or slightly below, trying to keep them a little bit close together. And you really want to make sure that they are fully secured at the base. And then before you add the next one, just pull the first one back. It's already stuck together. So add that one in, secure it, and then add your last one in and tuck it underneath the first one. And then bring the first one back and secure. Again, you can turn it upside down and just secure it further. And then start opening the petals from the top. Now at this moment in time, you can either leave it upright if your petals are able to stand themselves and hold themselves straight. If not, hang it upside down for around 15 to 20 minutes, just so they're able to handle themselves, and then put it upright again. This is going to be another quick trip to the oven, and then I will show you, once I'm back, the final result of the flower. And now it's fresh out of the oven, and this is what it looks like. Look at that hot pink colour. Just looks absolutely gorgeous. And it's not fully dried, but it's getting there slowly. And I'm just going to leave it upright now to fully dry all by itself. So guys, that brings us to the end of the video. I really hope you've enjoyed this one, guys. If you have, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that bell icon as well, because without that, you'll never know whenever I upload a new video. So you've got to hit that notification bell button and turn on all notifications. If you want to follow me, my socials are listed in the description box below. So do check them out. And I will see you next time with a brand new one. Bye guys.